Do, do, do. How you like me now? Do, 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 do. Good morning. Good afternoon. Good evening, family. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Mental House with me, your host, Khadija. You know, y'all, this is as y'all can see in the background, local news, and it is the local news regarding Sterling Brown, the Milwaukee Bucks player who was tased and beaten, and well, not particularly beaten. They tased him. There he is, right there, all for parking. Um, in what they said was he used two parking spaces, handicap spaces. Well, the video footage that they first released was a hell of a lot different than the footage that has been since released, and that shows a pretty accurate account of what happened to Sterling Brown, and pretty much what happens to black people every day when they encounter the police. And what I want to say is this, as a person who even had law enforcement people in my family, um, I think that there really should be drug testing for police officers. I also think all this remedial training, and every time an officer is involved with violating somebody's civil rights, and they say that they need more training, this, that, and the other, I think that that is where the problem lies. I think the officer in the instance needs um, racist. Not, I mean, they need to be held accountable. And since they are employees of the citizens, I think that that becomes a real problem when these people aren't being held accountable or suspended for a day or two. Or we have to have very sincere officers doing this job when you're working in the inner cities, because what has happened is the image that these people see on these videos, the image that we portray in our rap videos and other things like this, give a lot of them pretty much an attitude where if they kill us, it'll just be good for the world. And I can see that because I even see it in a lot of black people when we talk amongst ourselves. So what has to happen here is we're going to have a real sincere, honest talk about who's policing us if we're going to create any kind of change. But because I know that the police were manufactured to do just exactly what they're doing now, which is be hard on black people, black and brown bodies, then I know that probably what I'm going to suggest now is fruitful. But if we want to see America prosper, if we want to see America um, be anything but a police state, and at this point, I really have second thoughts on whether it's already totally there or not. But we cannot continue to pay a salary for a police force that abuses us. We cannot. So this is why I think reparations and things like that need to be in place, because since we've already been down, given the role as being the lowest on the totem pole, we cannot afford. We cannot afford to continue to pay taxes for a police force that brutalizes us. And that is just that simple. We cannot continue to do this. Now, however it shows up, it just shows up. This can't go on. And it's always the same story. The officer felt threatened. They feared for their life. You just watch it all across the board, whether the victim is shot, like, or have a ink pens rammed up his ass or through his ears like they did Frank Jude. This incident, to me, is, I can put anybody there. The only thing, fortunately, for Sterling Brown is the fact that somebody recognized that he was a buck and then had the fucking nerve to say, I hope you guys make the playoffs after you just tased me, bitch. I mean, excuse me. These people are insane. They have been taught, and we've helped them in a lot of instances as well, because again, we are acting completely out of our nature. So when we act completely out of our nature, in my opinion, we worse. We worse because it's not who we are. We've been trained by savages. And so what happens is when we pick up these kind of behaviors, now we're all mixed in together. Okay? And it has become a tier existence, in my opinion. So now either we're going to, again, have some comprehensive suggestions and not just suggestions, but some actual implementation of some different type of policies. We're in trouble. We are very much in trouble, because what you just saw is what goes on in our lives every day. And I'm sick and tired of hearing black folks try to defend two white people. Whether it's an isolated incident, and them using the excuse that they fear for their lives. That is becoming tired and old. And again, this has got to stop. So I hope that Sterling Brown gets justice. I also want to examine the fact, something that they're doing. I'm sorry, not the fact. I want to examine something that they're doing in Baltimore. And what they're doing in Baltimore is they are allowing the citizens, from what I read an article a couple shows back, and how they're allowing the citizens and the constituents or the public to sue the officers. Forget suing the city, and the city has to pay. So if you're gonna back up this racist police department because you know that the dollar is gonna come from the taxpayers anyway, and they're gonna continue to pay for their own destruction, then we have to implement some different type of components up in here. And I think starting with civil suits against the officers. If you can see somebody found not guilty in criminal court and then Allah turn around and sue them like you did Bill Cosby or OJ or whatever. No, Bill Cosby was criminal. I would say OJ. If you can come back and do that, then I think the same thing has to be done and must be done when it comes to police officers. I think police officers need to start losing their lives, their livelihood. See, and these are white males, because you don't see all this killing going on with black males. Whether they have bought into the ideals of white supremacy or not, they got enough sense not to shoot white people. And so that's a problem. And if y'all can't see in the control group that this is happening only from white officers majority of the time, I won't say all, but for the majority of the time, that means you're part of the problem. Then you're part of the problem, and you like it, and you're fine just the way it is because you want the police to do your bidding, which is to get rid of black people. I have no alternative but to think any way different. Okay, so now in terms of black people, if we don't start cleaning up and showing some love and respect for ourselves and doing some things for ourselves that resonate with love now, and I care for you, I care for my brother, I care for my sister, and the generational gap that Willie Lynch laughed and thought would never be bridged, the separation tools that they have put into our brains to get us to hate ourselves, as opposed to who our oppressor and who is and has been, um, is is a really it's a real scientific, uh, almost it's a scientific explanation, and not only an explanation, it's a result of the social engineering. That's the result of our behavior. So these are things that people that are on the planet now are not responsible for, but they reap the benefits for and from. So this is something that needs to be addressed. And with that being said, I'm gonna pause. 5, 4, 3, 2. I'm not gonna stay on this long. Oh Lord. But y'all get the picture. Y'all get the picture. I'm back. So we're gonna have to begin to file suits against these police officers. That's the only way I can see us remotely getting any type of justice. This is what the citizens have to, in my opinion, this to me this supersedes anything. Okay, and see, then we got a clean house, but we can't have people killing us from within and without. We got an element in our community we got to deal with. And you can't run from it. You can't say Black Lives Matter when they running up in your house, shooting you and breaking in your house. To those individuals, Black lives don't matter. Okay, and so I'm just telling you that's how I see it. I really don't give a damn if you agree with me or not. But we got a war going on two fronts, and how we fight this war, we don't have to be loving each other, and that I mean we should, but we don't have to be monolithic in our thought, except for when it comes to getting these how can I say it, roll cops off our behind. That's the only thing we first need to be unified there, that we need to start protecting ourselves so some kind of way from the element that looks like us in our community and from the elements that don't. That's the first step. And unless you're willing to make that commitment, then it's going to be pretty difficult. Okay? Now, that's as I see it, and that's what I think. Tell me what you think. All right? And I'm going to be back a little later because I have to announce the winners of the t-shirt contest. All right? So I'm just glad to be back, y'all. I had to take a minute to set up my studio and get things right. But I'll be back with a few more videos. In the meantime, be blessed.